All right, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a nice and relaxing, very, very cold Tuesday morning. I want to welcome you all back to the spring 2020 semester here at Pitt State. This is an introduction video to give you a brief introduction about myself and to also go over the syllabus for the upcoming semester. I know there are likely some questions about a few of the different aspects of my syllabus, and so I'm going to hopefully go over those in a little bit finer detail right now. And again, if you have any questions though, if you will please be sure to email me. The first thing I did want to go over is the book situation. I'm not entirely sure what happened as far as the book is concerned. I taught this class last semester and there were no issues as far as students ordering the book. They were given the choice to order either the ebook or the hard copy textbook. It looks a lot like this one right here, using Ed Psych and Teaching. But for some reason, there was a mistake this last few weeks, I guess, and a different version, something else was added as a choice. This access card, I still have not gotten a straight answer as far as whether this access card will give you a book or not. My current concern is that essentially you are purchasing a card that will give you access to the online database of like tests, test questions and whatnot, which I can tell you that I've also talked to the other professor, Dr. Wood, that teaches 810. He's teaching one of the other sections of this class, and neither one of us use that online resource. So really, there wouldn't be a whole lot of benefit in you having that. So, but I have been informed that the bookstore is taking returns. They're aware of this issue, and because I've complained about it quite a few times maybe. And so they're aware of the issue and they are accepting returns on that access card thing. And whether it's open or not, my understanding is no matter whether it's opened or unopened, you can return it for a refund and use the Amazon into the Amazon website to order the book. You can either rent the ebook, you can rent the hard copy book, you can buy the hard copy book, or you can buy the ebook. There's a lot of different options there. One of the reasons that people love Amazon, but also one of the reasons that everybody hates Amazon. So, getting into it, we are again in Psych 810. This is a class that essentially everybody in the psych department and in the education and leadership department take as a prerequisite for graduation. So I hope you all enjoy the semester. I like to think that I'm very open as far as communication and as far as discussion is concerned. So if you have any concerns, questions, thoughts, complaints, whatever it might be, please be sure to email me. If there's ever a time that something does not make sense, email me. If there's ever a time that you need something from me, email me. We'll go over my office hours here in a little bit, but if you are anywhere near Pittsburgh, Kansas, please do not hesitate to stop by my office at any time whatsoever, so that we can, meet face to face. We can do whatever we need to get done to make sure that you're successful in this class and in your program. All right, so I figure it'd be good to go ahead and get a little bit about me out of the way. All right, so if you notice a little glitch there, there was an issue with my recording, so I had to essentially pause and restart the recording for this slide. But ultimately, this is a short piece about me, just to give you a broad overview of who I am and what brought me here. This is my second semester at Pittsburgh State University. My third semester, if you count last summer. I did teach last summer, taught 2 classes last summer. mostly in the school psychology area, and last semester I was all ed psych essentially, and one undergrad class, and it's the same for this semester as well. So my third term at Pitt State, second full semester. Before coming to Pittsburg, Kansas, I worked for 4 years as a school psychologist, mostly in California. I spent 3 years in California, and then I split a year in Las Vegas and Denver. Las Vegas, Nevada, and Denver, Colorado. And then before that, I was working as an RTI specialist in the Southern California region. And before moving to Southern California, I grew up in Texas. That is where I was born and raised. If any of you are familiar with Texas A&M Commerce, that's where I got my bachelor's degree. I do love Texas quite a bit, but I'm very happy to not live there anymore. No offense to any of you that live in Texas or have very strong emotions favoring Texas, but I am very happy in Kansas. I did not include on here, but I have a wife and 2 kids and 3 dogs and a cat, which is that's a lot of space taken in the house by a lot of energy. My son is about 3 years old now. He's fantastic, great little kid. And my daughter is almost a year. She'll be turning a year in 8 days, actually. So ultimately, that is my family. I adore my family. I love to spend as much time with them as possible, which is a benefit of being a professor, is I get to bring my son to school with me as much as I can. For those of you that are curious about what areas I worked under, what grade levels, I have worked in full K-12 plus. So I worked as an RTI specialist and a school psychologist in elementary schools. I was sort of an RTI specialist at a high school and middle school in Compton. I worked in Compton, California as an RTI specialist. It's a pretty fun job, pretty interesting job. And then I was a school psychologist in mostly high schools. After doing my internship and where I did mostly elementary school kids, I worked mostly with high school kids during my years as a school psychologist. And I also, last year, I worked at a high school where I was it was a full 9 through 22 years of age program. So I worked with the whole spectrum from K-22, essentially. I love working in the schools. It is one of my passions in life. I love working with kids. I love helping kids. Not even necessarily in schools. We are, one of these days I would like to foster or adopt, whatever it might be. I love kids. It is something I really enjoyed about my career. So if any of you have any questions about being a school psychologist and the benefits of being a school psychologist, there's a lot of benefits. I could easily go on for well over an hour about the amazing career of being a school psychologist, but I'll try to avoid that. But ultimately, I love working in the schools. After this, literally after taping this video, I'll be going over to Nettles Elementary, where I'll be reading to elementary school kids. I really enjoy working in the schools, and I do so as much as I can, as much as anybody will let me. So I think that's pretty much it as far as introductions. I will be asking for an introduction from all of you here in the next few minutes. It will be in a paper format. If any of you have any questions about any more of my information, I know I had a student last semester that was curious about my experience as an RTI specialist. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I'm only an email away. For those of you that have already emailed me, I love getting emails, I really do, and I usually can be pretty quick when it comes to responding. The only times where I'm a little bit slower, or I tend to be a little bit slower, is around my kids' bedtime, because my attention is occupied at that point. I do try and spend, when I'm with my family, I do try and put my phone away. But essentially, if I notice you have sent an email, then I'll respond to it pretty quickly. I try to be very, very, very quick about communication, because I know that this day and age, a lot of people are, want answers very quickly. So I try to provide that. And again, any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we will get into the syllabus. So I don't have it on my screen, so I'm just going to give you a nice blank PowerPoint screen, and I will hold my own paper copy. I like paper. For those of you that are more new school or more more technologically willing, this is where you can have it on your screen, save some paper. I'm not a huge fan of technology, which is alright because I'm teaching an online class, but ultimately I do have the syllabus right here. Doesn't necessarily anyways. So the top portion of page 1 is just some brief overview of the class. This is Psych 810. You're taking it for 3 credit hours. It is online only, so unless you choose to come and visit me in my office, we will really never meet face to face. I hope that many of you will choose to come and visit. If you do not live in Pittsburg, Kansas, I understand that. But if you do live in Pittsburg, Kansas, and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Please come and visit. My office hours are right there. I think the only thing, I'm going to adjust my Monday office hours a little bit because I don't like not being here in the mornings. But other than that, this is what we'll be dealing with this semester. So ultimately, I think that there's my phone number right there. If I'm in my office and if you want to call, landline, email is usually much quicker. If I'm at Nettles, or if I'm at somewhere on campus, whatever it might be, email is much quicker. The rest of page 1 is a lot of sort of information that is not necessarily useful in this context of me reading the syllabus, so we'll just go ahead and skip that. Skip down to the middle of page 2, where you see the books that you need. So there you see the Egan and Kochak book, Using EdPsych in Teaching, 11th edition. Again, it looks something like this right here. And this will be the textbook that essentially everything will come out of, okay? So if you are curious about whether or not you will need the textbook, I think it'd be very beneficial for you to have it. I base essentially all of our tests off of the textbook, and I base all of the presentations off the textbook. But I will say that even though I do base the presentations off the textbook, I don't always cover stuff in my presentation that I cover in the test. So if you are going to try and avoid getting the textbook, I would encourage you to just spend the $30, and that it takes, I think it's like $30 to rent it on Amazon. The other piece, there'll be various assigned readings as seen necessary, as seen important on Canvas. I'll post them on Canvas as I come across them and as I post them online. I have a few up there right now, just about various topics. I don't know if any of you can see them, but in future weeks they are up there. And then the APA guide, the APA publication manual. If you are not familiar with APA formatting, I think that this is, at least last semester, that was where most of the learning curve came from, is in the writing. I am a bit of a stickler on APA formatting. So if you struggle with APA formatting at all, this is a good resource for you to have, okay? I'm not requiring you to buy this book, and I'm actually telling you it's probably be a waste of money if you did buy the book, unless you were going into academia or going into research and you wanted to become a fantastic APA writer. in that case, yeah, go ahead and purchase the book, but otherwise it won't really benefit you at all. But it is one that for this semester will be pretty useful. Okay, so you can get them at essentially any library. If you're near campus, I'm pretty sure every professor in this department has a copy of the APA publication manual. Mine is at home, I guess. I don't see it on my bookshelf. So yeah, so find it. It's not that hard to find. And if you really don't want to do that, you can go on to, there's websites you can go on it really has just as much information as the APA publication manual does. But ultimately you will need that because every paper that you will write, I will want in APA format. I will be sending out an example here shortly of what I want, of what I expect. And you'll see in the future parts of the syllabus that there are portions where I specifically am grading for your APA formatting, okay? So each week there will be a brief video. I will try to keep it to about 30 to 45 minutes. Last semester I will say that I usually averaged around 50 minutes to an hour. So if you are devoted to only having 30 to 45 minutes, please press play. They're essentially all on YouTube, or I put them on YouTube before I post them to the website. So press play, go do some work, take a break, and then come back and finish the video. And the reason that it's important for you to watch the video is because most weeks the discussion topic will be discussed in the video. Now I am working on figuring out a way to make sure that you watch these videos. I know that last semester, toward the tail end of the semester, the last third of the semester, it appeared to be pretty easy for students to get the discussion topic without having to actually watch the video, which I want to avoid as much as possible. I record these videos not because I enjoy doing these videos so much, but because I think they could be beneficial to most, if not all of you. So yeah, so ultimately try to watch the videos. They'll go over the discussion topic. Now on to our assignments for the semester. Your first assignment is due this Sunday. It is not anything very difficult. It is just a one-page paper telling me about yourself, okay? So go into Word right now, or whatever word processing software you have access to, Google Docs, whatever it might be, and write just one page. I'm not going to be a stickler about having to be like 26 lines or anything like that, but just one quick page on who you are, what's your background, what are your major career goals, what do you enjoy doing outside of school, what are your passions aside from being a future educator of fine young minds, and then any questions you might have for me. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out and include them in your paper, and I'll be reading those starting next week, and hopefully getting back to you with any questions. If I see any questions, I'll probably just discuss them in the videos. Next, there will be 3 tests throughout the semester. They're really nothing complicated, 20 questions each, and really the goal of the test is just to make sure that you're reading the book. It will go over the chapters of the 3 or 4 previous weeks, and really nothing very complicated. I don't make them very complicated. I just make them to where ideally you are opening the book and you are engaging with the text at some level, okay? Now, the discussion. The next part is the discussion. So each week in the video lecture, I will be bringing up a discussion topic, and that is how you will get your discussion topic. It'll be discussed in the video, somewhere within the video. Now this is essentially where there is an honor system part where you can obviously try to avoid watching the video and just wait until about 3 or 4 students post their discussion topics, but ideally you are finding some benefit of the videos. And again, if you're not finding any benefit of these videos, email me, let me know, because then you're not, I do these videos as a way to increase engagement and increase interest in the class. And so if this isn't doing it for you, please let me know. But ultimately, in that lecture, I will be discussing some kind of discussion topic with you, and then I will ideally be including some kind of random bit of information that I want from you. I did that for a few weeks last semester, and then students were doing really good about watching the videos, so I backed off a little bit, and then towards the tail end of the semester, I kind of got what I asked for. Now I will say that what I expect from you is at least 2 posts, and essentially it is an initial post, and then so your initial post would be responding to the question that is given, and then a response post. Now that is all that is required of you, but that is not all that I hope to see. Okay, so the purpose of the discussion, online discussion, is to have some kind of engagement, right? So I know that I'm not an idiot. I've taken online classes before. That was always the least fun aspect of doing those online classes, was the online discussion. But sort of being on the other side of it now, I understand that there's really no engagement without some kind of online discussion. And so I really hope to see, I had a few students last semester that really on certain topics would really post a lot, and I will try hard to find a certain topic that is I don't want to say controversial, but is interesting enough to gather some interest, right? So one of the things that we'll discuss here this semester, is marijuana in the schools. And I think the legislature, as we speak, is somewhere working on a medical marijuana bill to bring medical marijuana to Kansas. Medical marijuana is available in Oklahoma, Missouri, I believe. I don't know about South Dakota, or no, I don't know about Nebraska. Sorry, my geography is off there. But ultimately, it is an issue that is going to be, approaching Kansas, and it already is approaching Kansas. Has already approached Kansas. So that'll be one of the things that we'll discuss here this semester. This last important note on the bottom of page 3 is about late discussion posts. You will not be given credit for late discussion posts, okay? Now, I can be kind of a stickler on late work. I have had some students that have disagreed with me on this topic, but ultimately, I had a lot of students last semester that were not really engaging in the discussion at the time, and they would come in a week afterward. Or I had some issues last semester where students were coming in after the due date, essentially long after the due date, and they were posting, and they were getting some credit for it, because it is in my syllabus that you will get some credit for late work. So ultimately, if you do not post your discussion topics by essentially midnight on Sunday night, then you will not get credit for the discussion, because the purpose of the discussion is to have a discussion, and it is not necessarily a discussion if you are coming in the Wednesday after the discussion is finished, and you're just sort of posting what your responses are, knowing that you will likely no eyes will be on your discussion topic, on your response. So that is one change that I've made from last semester, because I really want there to be as much engagement as possible on the discussion topic, okay? The next part is an activity. There's some kind of activity this semester. I'm gonna kick back a little bit here. All right. For those of you who can't tell, I'm a big Rangers fan, big baseball fan. All right, so you'll be doing some kind of activity this semester where you will go into some kind of setting and do an activity. So last semester, the activity that I dictated was an interview. So you would interview either somebody that has your job or somebody that works with special needs students. Those are both still options for this semester, but I want to give more opportunities for students that have either already interviewed sort of their prospective career. Essentially, this is a very common activity in the Pitt State Psychology and Counseling program, and so I want to give more opportunities for students that don't necessarily want to engage in that kind of activity. So here's your choices as far as activities for the semester. You can interview somebody from a prospective career. So I am a school psychologist, so if I were to complete this activity, I would go out and I would interview a school psychologist. Or if you are interested in, like maybe you are a teacher, but you're interested in going into administration, you can go and interview a principal or director of special ed or some kind of administrator, whatever it might be. You can also interview somebody that works directly with an individual with a disability. So that could be, again, a school psychologist, special education teacher, a special education paraprofessional. Really, there's anybody that works with special needs individuals. You are more than welcome to go and interview them. And then the last one is, the last one I'm actually, I wanted to add on here, but I did not include it in the syllabus, is a activity that is going to increase your sort of your understanding of diversity. So some kind of activity that is new to you, right? That is not of your own culture. Okay, so, and I'm not going to be very stringent on making sure that the activity that you do is unique to you, but ultimately, for example, I am a white Protestant, I'm a WASP, right? So if I were to complete this task, I would maybe go to a Jewish service, or I would go to maybe a Muslim service, a Buddhist temple, although I've been to all three of those. I enjoy those kinds of things. But ultimately, some kind of activity that is different from your own culture. You can go to some kind of rally that you might not have otherwise gone to. If you are if you're a Democrat, you can go to a meeting of the local Republicans. If you are a Republican, you can go to a meeting of the local Democrats. Ultimately, something that will give you an experience that is outside yourself, that is different from what you would normally experience on a Monday through Sunday basis. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to be incredibly stringent on making sure that if you go to a Muslim service, I'm not going to ask you I'm not going to check to make sure you weren't a Muslim before that, or if you go to a Christian service, I'm not going to check to make sure you were a Christian before that. But ultimately, just try to go out there and experience a culture that is not yours, because it is always beneficial to do so. And then as far as that is concerned, if you were doing a If you were doing a interview, then I want at least 5 questions. 5 questions. And ideally, I just want you to spend some time with that individual and understand what they do. What is their job? What is it that you're signing yourself up for, right? And so 5 questions. I want those 5 questions noted in your paper, and then the rubric that you'll be using is right there. So you're going to get graded for length, APA formatting, and your explanation of the activity. I don't want you just telling me, saying, I went to a Catholic service, or I went to a meeting of Equality Kansas. I went to a meeting of the local Republicans. I want you to give me details of what took place there. Or I went into Nettles Elementary and I read a book, right? So I want you to give me details, right? So if I were to complete this task, like today, I'm going to, actually right after this, I'm going to Nettles Elementary to go and read some books to some kids, and so I would provide the books that I read, right? So I actually have them here. I think that I have a 3-year-old, so he gets a lot of books. So I would include, I read Dan the Taxi Man. If you have not read Dan the Taxi Man, it is a pretty fun read. And I also read, which is the other one I have here? Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. It's another fun one. Gets a lot of activity, a lot of engagement from kids. So essentially, just give me as much detail as possible so that I know what you did, where you went, what activity you did, how you engaged, and just what you gathered from that activity. What did you learn? What did you experience? And what was there any enjoyment in this activity for you? Okay. So I think that's it for the activity portion of it. Again, you'll be graded on APA formatting. One of the changes that I made for those of you that are in my class this semester, that were in my class last semester, I was a little more vague last semester on how I'd be grading APA issues, but ultimately I was a little more concrete this semester. And then the next portion is your research activity. So every few weeks, I want you to go out there, go into the Journal of Educational Psychology, and find an article. It can be any article, anything you want it to be about. My goal with this activity, with this assignment, is not for you to simply check a box and note that you, just note that you have completed this task, but ultimately, as you will learn in this class, student autonomy is important. Students tend to respond better whenever they are given some kind of autonomy, some kind of power over their own learning. And so my goal here is to give you some kind of power over your own learning, right? So each week we're going to go over a certain topic. That topic may or may not interest you whatsoever, but you will have this opportunity to go into the literature and find something that interests you, right? So if it were me and I was trying to complete this task, what I would do is I would go to the ACTS library webpage and I would look up the Journal of Educational Psychology, and my own personal interest is suicide, actually, suicide assessment, suicide identification and prevention. So I would find an article that is related to the to suicide identification and prevention. Okay. Now I'd read that article, and then I would write a 2-page paper. The first page being a brief overview of the paper, of the journal, of their methods, of their background, of the results. And then the second page is essentially a diary or a journal entry of your takeaways, what this taught you. How will this benefit your teaching in the semester, okay? So ultimately that is the goal here. And again, it's pretty self-explanatory. And I want to, again, make sure that you understand the goal of this activity. My goal here is not to essentially have you waste your time looking for research articles that don't interest you. My goal here is to provide you some kind of power over your own education. If you find yourself feeling like this is a waste of time, then I would ask you to consider the relevance of the articles that you're finding, right? So I don't care if the article is at all related to what we're learning in the class, as long as it is in the Journal of Educational Psychology, then you just find the article and you make sure it's interesting to you, and then write about it. Pretty simple. And so the way that it will work is each time that they are due, I want the article turned in on the Sunday before the article is due. So, for example, this Sunday, I want you to submit an article to me. Go out there and find an article out of the Journal of Educational Psychology. If you are unsure how to do that, email me, or email the library if you don't want to email me. So be sure to email me. Let me know if you need help finding an article, if you are unsure of how to search journal sources, and we can work on that. We can work on figuring that issue out. Now, so you turn that article in by this Sunday, and then a week from Sunday, I want your paper. So the easiest way to keep up with all this is the schedule that is on the end of the syllabus that has a list of when things are due. So you can essentially go by that and then just give me the paper. So article, I want the actual PDF version of the article. Do not copy and paste the text from the PDF or from the article and then put it into a Word document. I don't want just the citation. I want the actual file of the document, the PDF version of the document sent to me by Sunday, okay? If you are unsure what any of this means, or if you are unsure of how to get what I want, email me. Or again, email the library. The library has some amazing resources, and they can absolutely help you as you work your way through the semester, okay? And then the rubric for grading those is on the next page. As you can see there, essentially if you do not turn your article into me by this Sunday, then you will lose some points on your paper next Sunday. Okay. So, important to consider that all assignments that are turned in late will be given half credit. Okay, so one thing I did not include in the syllabus that I wanted to is that each student, important to listen to this, each student will receive one freebie. Okay, so if you are overwhelmed, if you are struggling, whatever it might be, and you need sort of one get out of jail free card, then that is fine. So let's say that you are not sure how to do, how to find the paper for this Sunday, and you don't really want to email me, and you procrastinate, and you turn it in late, you turn it in sometime next week, then I will forgive that. I will give you full credit for that, but I will not give you full credit for anything else turned in late throughout the semester. Okay, so obviously this only applies to, or obviously this does not apply to discussion topics because I'm not giving any credit for late discussion topics, but If you have a paper that you need to turn in late, you are free to turn one in late without losing any credit. Any paper after that will be given only half credit, okay? So if you turn a paper in late and it is your second or third paper that you've turned in late and you get half credit for that, you have been very, you'll be warned many times over throughout the semester that you are losing half credit for each of those times, okay? So please do not email me complaining that you only got half credit if you turn a paper in late, all right? That is the deal. That is in my syllabus. And then if you have any family emergencies, please email me. I know I had death in the family last semester, and I understood, I understand that the last thing you want to do whenever you're going through these situations is email somebody you don't really know. But ultimately, I consider this relationship to be a job, right? So I've always considered school to be a job. Your grade is in your paycheck is your grades, right? So that might sound corny, but ultimately you are getting some kind of reward. Even though you cannot put that reward in your bank account today, ideally one day you will get this. This will lead to getting a job that will be more prosperous than what you had before. So like a job, I'm not your boss or anything, but it is important to let the person that is sort of in charge know that you are going through something, right? So whenever my stepdad died last semester, I had to make sure that I called the department to let them know that I would be out that day. Make sure that people knew. And you can absolutely make the argument that it's none of my business, and that's fair. But at the same time, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm willing to provide accommodations for any individuals that are having a family crisis, right? And so this only counts for death mostly, or some major illness or whatever it might be. But just email me, make some arrangements with me. Don't just not turn work in. Okay, so if you go through the semester and something happens and you just say that guy doesn't need to know, it's none of his business, you are more than within your right to say that. But ultimately, I will continue to give you zeros or give you half credit depending on what the work dictates, unless I know what's going on. Okay, so the next part is just the number of points. Very, very self-explanatory, nothing overly complicated there. Introduction paper, the exams, the activity paper, research article reflection papers, and then online discussions, and then the grade breakdown. And I went ahead and spelled it out pretty explicitly. If you have an 89.44, you have a B. If you have an 89.45, you have an A. So I just went ahead and let you know how I'm going to be rounding for the end of the semester. Academic integrity, do your own work. Essentially, just don't copy off your peers. Counseling services. If you are ever in need of some kind of support, please reach out to somebody, okay? If you are stressed, if you are anxious, if you feel like you are not able to be successful, if there's ever any need that you need some kind of support, please let somebody know, okay? I am actually a trained school psychologist. What I did for a career was helping individuals that are having, sometimes mental health issues, sometimes just needing, sort of a morale boost to sort of get through the week. I have worked with all kinds of people. So please, if you feel so inclined, email me, talk to me, come visit me. But also, if you don't feel comfortable with that, I absolutely understand that. please feel free to, you can email me and I can refer you to some kind of services. There is the Bryant Student Health Center where we have counseling available, and now thanks to the Affordable Care Act, we have a higher amount of mental health services available in certain regions. Obviously, we're pretty rural, so it might be limited. It might be a little bit of a drive, but ultimately there are opportunities available, which is the important part. So the last portion of the syllabus is just the schedule. It is the schedule for when things are due this semester. So as you can see on the bottom of the first page of the tentative course schedule, you have 2 things that are due by this Sunday. Actually 3 things, 3 things that are due by this Sunday. So the online discussion for this week is introduce yourself to the class. So I want you to essentially can be very similar to what you do, what you include in the paper that you send to me, but the things that you'll exclude are questions about the course, but essentially just let other students know who you are. Are you a parent? Are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you a brother? Are you a sister? Are you just give your sort of elevator speech about who you are and what you enjoy doing. Do you like sports? Do you hate sports? Are you apathetic about all things? Is religion important to you? Are you a Christian? Are you a bad driver? Whatever it might be, just whatever describes you. Introduce yourself to your peers and have a little bit of a discussion on that. Okay, so that's your discussion for this week, and then turn in a research article by this Sunday, and then turn in your introduction paper to me by this Sunday. Those are the 3 things that are due by this Sunday. Okay. So this week's video did not cover the book, obviously. So you'll be reading chapter 1 on your own, and next week we will pick up with chapter 2. And as you can see, I am very good at being long-winded. So ideally, I will try to keep the videos as as sort of as short as possible. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Let me know. Don't be a stranger. All right. I'm looking forward to this semester. I think that we should have a pretty good time. I hope that there will be some great discussion going on. But otherwise, have a great week. And yeah, enjoy.